Whether you are a new puppy owner, or an experienced dog companion, or just simply interested in our furry friends, these 50 dog facts are must-knows. By the end of this video, you will know the best ways to make your dog very happy, some things that can actually be hurting your dog, and the meaning behind some of the absolutely weirdest dog behaviors. So, without beating around the bush, let's start off by explaining one of the weirdest dog behaviors: kicking their feet after taking a poo. This may seem like really strange behavior, but it's actually really normal. Dogs do this as a way to mark their territory. While this is totally normal and something instinctive, it can become problematic if done excessively. This could be because your dog feels anxious or uncomfortable. So make sure to check with your vet if this is happening often. But while this first fact is a warning sign, this next behavior is absolutely adorable: tilting their head. They often do this when giving you a loving gaze, showing affection and love. In addition, they do this to mimic their owner, but more on this later. While the reason behind this behavior is 100% true, this next fact is actually a false myth. Dogs see in black and white. While dogs are colorblind, it's nowhere to the point of seeing no colors. For example, dogs can see the colors yellow and blue, but are entirely blind to other colors like green and red. Here you can see different examples of how things would look like for dogs compared to humans. We will be busting many more false myths in this video, but first, something that can help build a closer bond with your dog is saying hi and bye to them. A study compared dog owners who never said hi or bye to those that do. The results showed that dogs who received a proper hi and goodbye had lower stress levels when left alone. Meanwhile, the other dogs felt worried and anxious. If you want your dog to be as comfortable as possible, make sure to do this consistently. While doing this is beneficial for your pup, this next thing you may be doing can actually be lethal: giving your dog bones. This can be very dangerous for many reasons. One example is if you give your dog real bones, they can hurt their mouth and teeth by slicing or splintering them. Not only this, but if it is too hard, it can break your dog's teeth. Or if it is too soft, it can be caught in their stomach and hurt them. However, a cool fun fact about dogs is that they actually have a secret third eyelid. You probably haven't noticed it since it's normally hidden, but it's actually really useful for your pup. It helps remove debris from its eyes, like dust or hair, since it extends across the eye. You can see how it looks in this picture. These eyelids also assist in creating more tears and protect the eye, giving your pup an extra layer of protection. If you thought that was interesting, we'll be covering a lot more cool facts like these in this video. But first, let's debunk this common myth dog owners believe, which is actually really disgusting. Whenever a dog licks you, they are actually kissing you. Even though dogs are known to show affection by licking people, it can mean other things that people are not fully aware of. For example, sometimes when a dog licks you, it means you have scent particles that your dog is attracted to. Also, your dog tries to groom you by licking areas with a lot of sweat. But while this can be gross, this next thing dogs do can actually be really creepy: staring at you. What if I told you it is creepier than you thought? Dogs may stare at you because they want something, like to play with you or go outside. They may even do this because they love you and are giving you a loving gaze, just like humans do. But they may also do this because they are closely observing you, which can mean they could be angry with you. However, this is typically not the case, and most of the time, it's a positive experience. While this dog behavior can sometimes mean love and affection, this next thing you can do could build an even closer bond: kissing them. Yep, one study from Arizona University found that kissing a dog increases oxytocin, which is their love hormone, and in turn makes them happier. However, keep in mind that kissing your dog can also transmit diseases and harmful bacteria, so maybe be careful and make sure they are clean before doing this. So while kissing your dog is totally fine and beneficial, this next thing is not okay and is actually a warning sign: dogs licking their paws. There could be many reasons dogs do this. For example, simply boredom or anxiety will cause this behavior, although other symptoms like pain, irritation, or even injuries may be the reason your dog does this. In the worst of cases, it could be because of parasites or infections in your dog's fur. But don't stress too much if you see your dog doing this, as 99% of the time, it is completely normal and nothing to worry about. We will be covering a lot more warning signs in this video, but first, let's explain one of the weirdest dog behaviors: sniffing. Okay, maybe a dog sniffing isn't weird, but there is a warning sign as to why dogs do this you may not know about. Let's say you and your dog are out and about, walking outside with your pup, and they start sniffing the grass. This is completely fine and nothing to worry about. However, if you see your dog randomly start sniffing the ground in a distracted manner, it tends to mean they are in an uncomfortable situation. Make sure to keep an eye on this, because no one wants to see a worried dog. Now, we all want to make our pups happy and content, but this next thing dog owners unknowingly do is actually hurting them, forcing them into an uncomfortable situation. You may have the nicest and cutest dog in the whole world, but that doesn't mean they want to talk with other dogs or people. Just like humans, they can feel uncomfortable around strangers, and forcing this behavior makes them feel stressed. So, how can you fix this? Just make sure that whenever you greet anyone, take a few steps back to make sure your pup has some breathing space. Also, notice the body language of your pup to see if it's best to just move on. Luckily, this is easily preventable and not a long-lasting issue. However, something that can make your dog really happy instead is when you gaze at their eyes. In a study, researchers collected urine samples from both dogs and owners before and after interacting. The oxytocin levels of both dogs and humans increased a lot after they gazed at each other, showing that dogs built a closer bond when they looked at each other's eyes. You can do this with your dog to cheer him up. This has been proven multiple times to be true, but sadly, the same cannot be said about this dog myth, which is just not true. A dog's mouth is cleaner than a human's. Some people even go as far as to say it can be used as a way of cleaning. But as you may have guessed, this is also false. While it is true that some bacteria cannot reproduce in a dog's saliva, it is far from the point of being sanitary. If anything, it is known that dogs can actually infect humans by licking them too often. One way to prevent this is to ensure your dog's teeth are constantly getting cleaned. While this is typically a common dog myth people believe, this next thing dogs do is actually really strange and creepy. Dogs can sense death. Scientists debate whether this is something supernatural or just a sixth sense exclusive to dogs. But There have been multiple cases of dogs acting strange before their owners passed away. Some of these weird behaviors include staring at you intensively and not leaving your side, or feeling stressed and restless. One theory as to why this happens is that dogs can feel changes in our scent when we are nearing death. As our bodies start to shut down, we produce different chemicals, and our scent changes because of this. This shows that dogs know a lot more than meets the eye. But how smart really are they? Well, according to studies, dogs know about 165 words. They are around as smart as a 2-year-old human toddler. But just because they recognize words, though, doesn't mean they actually say them. Every once in a while, you come across a dog that sounds like he's saying a word, but sadly, they don't have a voice box to speak, which is a shame because who wouldn't love to talk to their pup? We will be discussing a lot more cool dog fun facts later on, but first, this next thing you can do that will make them so much happier is to bathe them often. This not only keeps your dog healthy from bacteria or infections, but it also makes your dog more comfortable. Giving your pup a good shower removes dead hair, sweat, and any fleas and ticks, keeping your dog happy and safe. But how often should you give them a shower? According to the ASPCA, it is generally recommended for your dog to bathe once every 3 months. However, if you have the time, it doesn't hurt to do it once a month. But on the topic of things that dogs love, did you know that dogs love the special dog voice we use? A study from the University of York showed dogs are more attracted to the high-pitched voice we tend to use, rather than a normal human tone. Interestingly, this comes from how mother dogs interact with their pups, since the mom used higher-pitched sounds when communicating. It created a sense of comfort and safety. So while this habit we humans do is nice for dogs, this next thing makes your dog really uncomfortable. Not sticking to a routine. You must remember that your dog looks up to you to provide for their needs. For example, giving them food at random times can make your dog anxious because there is no consistency in when they get their meal. You need to do your job as the owner to make sure there is a regular routine to ensure your dog feels calm. Nevertheless, one of the most widely believed misinformation about dogs that you need to stop believing is that 1 human year equals 7 dog years. Most people think dogs live up to 10 years, although this is actually really dependent on their size. While large dogs can live up to 8 years, small dogs can live up to 13. Also, as seen by this graph, dogs slow down their aging as time goes on, making it very difficult to compare with human years. Nevertheless, this next fact can potentially be a warning sign. But first, before we get into that, make sure to subscribe for more educational dog videos so you can better understand your dog. Anyways, without using up any more time, one common dog lie that can potentially be a warning sign is that sad dogs eat grass. They might actually be eating grass because they feel stressed or bored. So don't worry, they are not sick if they eat some grass here and there. However, just like anything, it can be a warning sign if they do it too often. If your dog vomits afterwards or shows symptoms of sickness, you should visit a vet to make sure there is nothing wrong. So instead of believing this false claim, did you know that the real reason dogs bark is actually really creepy? Barking is a normal dog behavior, of course, in which they can express their feelings or communicate with other dogs. However, there are cases in which they bark excessively. For example, when in pain, fear, or distress. Also, other dogs barking or jealousy can trigger your pet to start barking a lot. But most importantly, dogs can use this loud noise to warn you of incoming danger. They can sense out bad people and protect you and any children from possible harm. Dogs tend to bark commonly, but something they also do pretty regularly that's actually really disgusting is when dogs lick their owner. This can be a sign of many things, but let's start from the most normal to the weirdest reason. First, they are doing this because they love you and lick you as a sign of affection. They could also be doing this because they are picking up your scent and keeping it with them. A bit weirder, however, is how dogs lick you to groom you. They especially like sweaty parts of your body, like the feet or neck. But the weirdest reason of all is because your dog wants you to vomit your food? Yes, you heard this right. And they do this because mother dogs throw up in order to feed their pups. So this means your pup considers you their mother. So take this as a compliment. Now, this next huge mistake dog owners make is arguing in front of the dog. This is a huge mistake because, just like children, your dog gets stressed when they see you getting mad. If the argument gets really heated, things most likely get loud, causing your dog to feel distressed and anxious. And to make it even worse, dogs will believe it was their fault you got mad. So even if you are not directly trying to hurt them, it's best to take the argument somewhere else where your dog is not present. While this is something we do not intend to intentionally do, this next heartwarming thing dogs do shows they love you a lot. Snuggling in your belongings. Dogs have a very strong sense of smell, and they are drawn to their owner's scent. If you see your dog burrowing in your clothes or a shoe, it typically means that they want to stay closer to you. They are basking in your scent, and this is the way your dog reinforces their bond with you, even if you are not physically present. So next time you see your dog near your stuff, take it as an adorable sign that they want more of you. But if you want to build an even closer connection with your pup, one of the best ways to do it is by spending more time with them. Just like how you like to spend quality time with your family, dogs also appreciate this too. The more time you two spend together, the more you develop a bond and trust. Having toys also come in handy to help you have some fun while also getting some physical exercise. I have a couple toys I use with my own dog, which I will link in the description so you can check them out. We will cover so many other ways to build a closer bond with your dog. But before we get into that, let's cover the hidden meanings behind their sleeping position. It says a lot more about them than you might think. As mentioned in the beginning, dogs curl up in a ball when sleeping to protect their organs as a survival instinct. Also because it's really comfy. And when they sleep spread out like this, it means they are pretty active pups. Funny enough, if they sleep on a high surface like a table or chair, then they are probably trying to cool off. While these all could show you a lot about your dog, there are potentially warning signs you should look over. For example, when they lay low to the ground like this, your pet may have arthritis. Also, when they sleep uncomfortably, it could mean something is bothering them. Worst case scenario, if they moan or groan while they sleep, it could mean they could be suffering from a health issue. in which case you should visit a vet to check. But if you thought that was interesting, let me explain the meaning behind this really weird dog behavior: chasing their tail. Dr. Steve Weinberg, founder of the 911 Vet Service, mentions he has dealt with many cases of excessive dog tail chase. While it is completely normal and playful for a dog to run and grab their own tail, if it happens too often, it could be because of a couple of possibilities you need to watch out for. Some of these include a brain abnormality, a painful area in the tail, an infection, or even cancer. However, don't worry, as these are very rare. So just make sure to be actively observing your dog to see if any of these symptoms show up. This is a normal behavior dogs do. But this next myth you might have heard is actually completely false. If a dog has a dry nose, it means it's sick. Nevertheless, warm and dry noses are totally normal too, so don't worry if this is the usual state of your dog's snout. Everything from dry air and allergies to simply taking a nap can affect the wetness of your dog's nose. But if you notice your pet's nose is constantly dry, cracking, or running, then you should make an appointment with a vet and get that checked out. At least this isn't completely true, and you can sleep safe knowing your dog is okay. However, this next thing dogs do is almost always a warning sign: winking. Unlike humans, this typically does not mean affection. Instead, it could be because dogs are seeking attention or showing a sign of submission to their owner or other dogs. But this could also mean other things you must watch out for. For example, something that's stuck in your dog's eye, like dust or hair, are causes of this weird behavior. Even worse, a medical irritation or an infection could force your dog to wink often. Now that you learned the real meaning behind this dog behavior, let's move on to one of the most surprising things dogs can do: sense natural disasters. We all know our pets are very sensitive creatures, but their sense of smell is so powerful to the point they can detect the smallest of seismic waves. One example of this was back in 2004, when a dog named Simon reportedly saved his owner from a literal tsunami. If that isn't crazy, I don't know what is. At least you can feel safe that your dog will protect you in case of any disaster. But for this next thing, you need to be on the lookout, as it can be a warning sign: their posture. I recommend you always check your dog's posture, as it can represent their emotions. For example, a cowering dog that is hunched towards the ground is a sign of fear or stress, as if it is trying to look smaller. Meanwhile, the opposite posture is a dog pushing forward, almost as if they are trying to get closer to something. This might mean the dog is interested in something, or it could also mean they are distressed and ready to fight or run. Luckily, one of the best ways to make your dog feel good is to take them outside and let them explore. Dogs are active animals. They are not meant to be kept inside homes. This is why you should always let them go outdoors. This is great, as they can explore new things, give them both a mental and physical workout, and helping your pup stay happy. But don't take my word for it. The AKC even advises taking your dog outside for many hours per week. In this case, you are helping your dog be happy. However, something dog owners should never do that can even be considered animal abuse is physically punishing your dog. Not only is this considered animal abuse, but this method doesn't even work, rather severely hurting your relationship with your dog. When you physically hit your dog, like in the form of spanking or slapping them. It can make your dog scared of you and even more aggressive. Also, they don't know what they did wrong in the first place, so they learn to be afraid of you instead, which completely ruins your relationship with them. You should never do this, and instead focus on methods of teaching and rewarding your dog, which is a much better way for them to learn. We will be covering other things that you may be doing, which actually seriously hurts your dog. But before we get into that, a cool dog fact, which is not very obvious, is how dogs are actually born blind and deaf. This goes all the way back to dogs' ancestral days of hunting. Mother dogs who were pregnant would travel too slow with puppies in the womb, which meant they struggled to catch prey. So, to solve this, they got the pups out of the womb early. This meant the pups were underdeveloped, hence why they were blind and deaf in their first 2 weeks or so. But it was an advantage as it allowed the mother to hunt once again and provide food for the pack and the new pups. This is a very interesting fact, but this next fact is actually kind of funny. Dogs fart more than humans. Yep, this is slightly disgusting, but hey, they have to do what they have to do. If anything, this can be used to your benefit. If you do fart, you can just go ahead and say the dog did it. But why do they even fart in the first place? They do this often for similar reasons to humans: a certain diet or a food that doesn't sit well in our tummies. Sometimes even illness. While this isn't often, if your dog cuts the cheese excessively, maybe check with a vet to ensure all is good. This is obviously lighthearted and funny, but this next thing which scientists recommend is still really controversial amongst dog owners: letting your dog sleep with you. A bit of a controversial method is to let your dog sleep with you. Some people think that dogs sleeping in their beds is disgusting and uncalled for, while others think it's not a problem at all. But what do scientists say about this? Well, it's generally positive. Sleeping with your pup can lead to more comfort and security, better emotional health, and a higher immunity to diseases. However, there are some negatives too, like allergies and exposure to germs, which can all harm you and your pet. Whatever you think of this is up to you, but something that people accidentally do and could be harming your dog is when you let your pup eat too much. Just like humans, dogs gain weight. This is something many people forget and can hurt your dog big time if not corrected. We can all admit seeing our pup being a bit chubby is kinda cute. Yet, this can cause them issues which aren't so cute, like diabetes, heart problems, or even cancer. Meanwhile, you could also accidentally be harming your dog by believing this next false myth. Dog owners should shave their dog's fur during the summer to help them cool off. While this may make sense on paper, it actually does the opposite and instead heats them up even more. Shaving down your dog's coat will expose their skin to too much solar radiation, increasing the risk of sunburn and other infections. So instead of giving your dog a new cut, just brush your dog's fur instead. This takes away dead hair and allows for better air circulation in their coat. These last 10 facts are some of the most interesting, starting with this next thing dogs do, which is a clear sign of love and affection: mirroring. Multiple studies have shown that whenever dogs have a strong bond with their owner, they tend to mimic behavior, mood, and even emotions. This is because dogs are very sensitive to our feelings and can even sense how we are feeling without us directly expressing it. Regardless, something that almost every dog has done, but actually could be a warning sign, is when dogs chase their own shadow. Now, this may sound harmless, and it typically is. They are fascinated by how light reflects and moves, so they move around and chase their shadow for fun. Yet, this can turn into a compulsive disorder if done excessively. If you see your dog doing this, a good trick is to give them a toy or a treat so they get distracted and stop doing it. However, worst case scenario, bring them to your local vet to get checked. But one of the biggest dog lies, which is not only harmful for dogs, but can be potentially dangerous to you, is holding your hand out towards a dog you've just met. I can't stress this enough, never do this. Sticking out your hand can be misinterpreted as a sign of aggression, and the dog may bite you. You also don't know about the dog's obedience record, after all. So, if you must approach a new dog, do it from the side and avoid making intense eye contact. It's really not worth the risk. With this in mind, this next weird dog behavior can seem super gross, but is completely normal for dogs. Rolling around in poop. This sounds super nasty, and it is, but after you hear why dogs do this, it will sound a bit more normal. We all know poop has a strong scent, and dogs who have a strong sense of smell really like this. They roll in feces to mark their scent, which is an instinct that developed over time as a way to hunt prey without being detected. Also, rolling in poop can be a way for dogs to communicate with their pack about something they found, such as food. But more realistically, dogs just do this to mark their territory, or out of pure boredom. So now that you understand this weird dog behavior, you need to watch out for this next thing, which people often forget about, but can be seriously hurting your dog a lot. Choosing the wrong collar. Imagine you are trying to walk, but you have a tight strap around your neck pulling you really harshly. This is what your dog feels whenever you get the wrong collar for them. Most of the time, this happens because when dogs grow, their owners forget to check the size, thus becoming really tight. This hurts them a lot and can make them very uncomfortable. Also, ensure your dog uses the right form of the collar, as each dog has their own ideal kind. But anyways, moving on. This next behavior dogs sometimes do is a clear sign of love and compassion for you. Picking up food and carrying it away. This is especially common in households with multiple dogs because dogs, as descendants of wolves, are packed animals and have inherited the instincts to carry pieces of food away to a safer place to eat. So next time you see your dog taking food out of their bowl, don't stress, this is completely normal. But while this dog behavior typically means love, whenever your dog does this next thing, it can sadly be a big sign of suffering. Shaking their head. If you see your dog doing this every once in a while, it's okay and there is no need to worry. But normally when this happens, it tends to happen excessively, and this can be a huge problem. First of all, they can have an ear infection or overgrown yeast in their ears. Also, an ear irritation or infection can cause this behavior. Luckily, if you do this next thing with your dog, it will help them out a ton, giving your dog super challenging puzzles. You can do this by hiding treats with the dog feeding puzzle toy I linked in the description, giving them a mental workout alongside with some yummy treats. However, a really common dog myth that people believe is good but will cause problems later down the line is buying 2 puppies at once. This sounds like a perfectly reasonable approach, as your little friend can get a companion. In reality, however, it ends up being much more complicated to train your dog if this is the case. Even if they are the easiest dog breeds to train, they are oftentimes so dependent upon each other that they tend to be distracted, and because their bond is so strong, they tend to place less value on their human relationships. This will then cause you problems down the line because your dog will be more disobedient and rebellious, which is something we never want to see. And last but not least, let's end off this video with a very heartwarming fact about dogs. They have unconditional love for their owners. A study shows dogs are one of the few animals that have unconditional love for their owners, meaning that when they give you love, they expect nothing back from you. They love you just as much as you do, and this is even more of a reason to take care of these cute little pets. Hope you found this video helpful. If you learned something new, make sure to subscribe. And check out this video for your all-in-one guide to your dog's sleeping positions. See you there!